satisfying. When we walk away. When there's nothing left. Except us two on the way. Play that safest stage, please. You have a flying series of good kids, please.
Kill it right about there. Welcome to Dead Air, 2 hours of hardcore radio. This is episode 82. We're going to do a kind of a guest review episode where we have our guest, MJ. What's up?
What's up?
Listen, let me turn you up a little bit. Hey, what up?
Hey, what up?
How long has it been? It's been like 2 years since one and a half, between 1.5 and 2 since you've been on the show.
Yeah, we were
with Wake.
Yeah, we were on. Man, that was like really like a year and a half ago.
Dude, like when you guys came in, that was like we talked a little bit about my like warehouse job, and like y'all came in, I did that show, and then I stopped doing Dead Air for like 2 months unintentionally because
really
I was working literally every day of the week at the warehouse. So there was not one day I could make it up, and it was super unintentional. I remember I did a interview with the singer of Morning Again, and I felt so bad because they kept on being like, so we did that interview. When is that show going up?
Yeah.
2 months later. So back in the day, we used to just like anytime we have a guest, we just like let them pick the playlist. So today, you're picking the playlist. Mm-hmm. We're gonna talk about the songs. Kind of the only restrictions is I just made sure that it was anywhere like within the last couple years. we'll basically look back on. There are some bands in here that we have played, but haven't really talked too much about, and some of them we haven't played in a very, very long time. So we started off with Arson in God's Pasture by the band Blame God from Long Island, off the record Power and Control. I don't know much about this except by the fact that it's fucking heavy.
I mean, I didn't know much about Blame God until we played with them. We played with them like last February, I think, so like a year ago. And like we always get hit up to do shows for bands, like, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'll just do a show with a band from wherever, like that's fine. And then you listen to them, and they're great. So I think this came out last year, but that show was really cool. It was at a small record shop in Seattle. Drawing a blank on the name, but it's in like Wallingford.
Okay.
Really, really small, like tiny record shop. And yeah, I just think like this band is
Was
awesome.
it Fat Cat?
Yeah, Fat Cat. That's it.
Okay, yeah. That's
Yeah.
owned by a family of somebody who used to be in a couple like Tacoma hardcore bands back in the day.
The more you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we played at Fat Cat with Blame God, and like this record came out, and I was listening to it, and I was like, it's so good. It's so heavy. There's like all the changes are like unexpected. That breakdown in that last song is ridiculous. I don't know. I want to see them again super bad. So awesome band. Shout out to them.
I think a thing about this is like we talked a little bit about just like how like a lot of songs are like and a lot of Seattle's taste has been specifically like Capitol Hill, that area is like tinged in like a metal presence. If there's hardcore, there's metal in it. That's where it's like sometimes it kind of my hardcore sensibility steps in. I loved that song. I loved the end, but I was like, where we were waiting for it to finally like end, that's where like hardcore me would have been, okay, stop messing with the guitars, just stop the song.
Yeah, hardcore kids don't lean into anything longer than about 3 minutes.
And that's where it is. Well, and also just like I don't think, and I'm just gonna straight up say, I still don't get it. I'm like, I get like on stage, I guess it's cool to, draw out the guitars, get some feedback and mess around. I mean, your bands do it, and it was always fun to see that. But like listening to it on record is just like, all right, let's reel it in, guys.
I mean, I like a lot of doom and like post metal stuff or whatever, and so I just like that song hits all the marks for me.
All right, so checks all the boxes.
Yep.
So the next one we're gonna do is one I really fucking like this band, Endless Death by Cell Rot. I love like vocally. This is a lot of people talk about like liking bands that have a vocalist that sounds like unhinged, and that's what I love about. I like Cell Rot doesn't sound as unhinged as they sound like a hybrid of a human and a goblin creature hybrid with a fucking hood, like with his hand out, like either warning you about something or telling you to fuck off. Yeah,
I mean, Cell Rot from your fucking nightmare is their thing.
Yeah.
No, we played with them at Gilman for this fest also last year, and there's a Hate 56 video of it, and I highly recommend going to watch that video because it's literally insanity. Like, it's one of the most fun bands to see, and they're just like, the riffs are so good. Like, I don't know, it's awesome. Dustin, the drummer, heavy into the China cymbal, but it's not like macho sounding. It's just like, I don't know. This record is wonderful, and I think more people need to start hyping up this band a little bit. They're They're sick.
like I said, like the energy that the vocals put out are like check all the right boxes, because like with this with heavy music and with fast, like aggressive music, why wouldn't you want the vocals and the music to sound insane? Mm-hmm. We talk about, people want stuff that's harder or faster, or people like something that's quote unquote extreme. But if it's like heavy and the vocalist is very mild, like what the fuck are you doing? You want something. I don't want anybody, like, I don't mind, like, if it's your first show and you're like, you need to get those jitters out. But like, now that I've been listening to this shit for like 12 plus years, I want nothing less than just slobbering, insane, unhinged, crazy people.
Yeah,
on the mic.
I saw them play at a bike shop here in Tacoma over the summer, and Cellrot set was like pretty mellow. It was kind of weird and kind of a bummer because I love this band and I'll go off. But then we'll give a shout out to, I guess, Video Prick. You want to talk about unhinged, like, bands live? Like, yes.
I've heard so much. That is one band that we haven't really, like, it's on my list of things to check out, and I still haven't checked out Video Prick.
Yeah, catch them if you can. They're sick.
I've heard nothing but good things about that band. So we'll go ahead and we're gonna go from that into to Baptist. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, but we'll do a little 2-song block, and then we'll be back. You're listening to Dead Air, 2 hours of hardcore radio. Okay then. Yeah. Cool. We're here. Yeah, you're making me re-listen to stuff that now I'm like, after listening to Cell Rot, I'm like, I need to see like every single band we've played so far. I'm like, I need to see live now. I need to fucking like. They're like names like, oh, this is pretty good, and then you listen to it in real time like, this would be a fucking dope show. And Baptists, I would love to re-see again. They played with No Future one time, right?
Yeah, Rainfest.
The same day?
I don't know if we played the same
Was
day.
it the same day? I don't remember. That weekend is kind of a haze now. It's literally almost 5 years ago.
Yeah, like that weekend's weird.
I know
for
Feather
me.
and Bone played one day.
Yeah, so we played the same day as like a Feather and Bone, Cult Leader, All Out War, and like that day was like really, really tight, really awesome lineup. But yeah, that whole weekend's kind of a blur for me. Like I feel like so long ago. But the first time I saw Baptist was that weekend, and that might be the only time I've seen them.
I know they played 1 year. They've played a year of Northwest Terror Fest. I thought, could be wrong. They're like the way they sprinkle in hardcore for that particular festival. I don't want to say it's forgettable, but it's just like it's hard to remember because they'll drop a randomly hardcore influenced band on the lineup here and there for the Northwest Terror Fest.
Yeah, and I know Baptist played. It was like a few years ago now. They played with All Pigs Must Die. And I missed that show.
That might be what it is.
I was super super bummed to miss that, but yeah, I really love that last LP they put out. I think that came out in 2018. And that particular song, Vicarious Trauma, is about. I read an interview with the vocalist, and he's like a social worker, like an outreach worker in Vancouver. And he just like was talking in depth about like the lyrical content for that record being influenced by his job. And as someone who's in that same like line of work, like it really like resonates with me. And so that song is just like, I don't know, it's really intense. I like bands that have like really a lot of depth in their lyrics, and it's not just, lip service to like other issues,
to things that they're not currently like experiencing, which is like, if you're knowledgeable in that in what you're talking about, that's still good. But if like, I think it's always like better and it resonates if you know for a fact in an intentional sense that it's coming from a place of truth, because that's like the life that they're living. It's coming from their everyday fucking lives.
Yeah, and that's why I love reading, like if people are willing to do like a song by song like explanation of the lyrics for their record. I love that stuff because you know exactly like where they're coming from. But then on the other hand, it's cool to like kind of interpret meaning from songs. But yeah, that whole record is really, really intense lyrically, and I would encourage you to like find that interview and read it because it really. It's intense. Is
song explanations more for metal kids or for hardcore kids? My thought goes for metal.
I would say hardcore kids.
Yeah,
because I feel like lots of hardcore kids like become teachers or like social workers or like go into those types of fields. I mean, I don't know.
Like, but do hardcore kids take the time to pay attention to do enough hardcore kids take the time to pay attention to song explanations?
Nah, hardcore kids just want to sing along.
Yeah, like I'm not saying that they don't memorize the lyrics, but like I feel like that's how sometimes like you can like sometimes semi-sketchy bands get by because their lyrics are worded in a way that when people aren't actually paying attention.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I'm just saying, like, there's sometimes I'll be like, how did we let this slip? It's because we were listening to the mosh part.
Yeah.
I'm just fucking saying, But what do you think? Who do you think comes out? Who do you think is more at a Baptist show, like on a tour, like pulling more metal or hardcore kids? I'm thinking metal.
Yeah. Baptist
100%.
Baptist is like a metal band.
It's a metal band.
Like,
They're a metal band with like a little bit of hardcore intent. How did they fit into the circles of hardcore? Like, how do they get on hardcore fests and be with like on Rainfest and stuff like that?
they just kind of fit in that like middle ground, I guess. I mean, they're hard enough for like hardcore kids to listen to, and like they have riffs, but then they're shreddy enough for the metal kids. I don't know. I'm kind of like in the middle ground here.
Yeah, no, I know that's where that's why I'm asking, because
Yeah.
like I like sometimes it all comes down to intent with the people, the backgrounds, the people that they know. Like, they can be a straight up metal band, but if they have like the same like intent or their ideas are breeding in the same rooms as other hardcore kids, they usually that's how they end up playing these shows, even if their like style is literally straight up 100% metal with no even like hardcore influence at all.
Right. Like, for example, like the drummer of Baptist also plays in Sumac,
Yeah.
which is very much like for metal, metal kids, and it's Aaron Turner playing guitar and singing or whatever. But then they'll play shows together, and I don't think a lot of hardcore kids are really into Sumac. So there's probably a split there. You could analyze that.
There's a bit. I would say there's a big like divide there, and like I said, it also comes to like the rooms that certain bands play, because like I would say places like Rainfest, if I didn't hear them before or didn't have another hardcore person show me Baptists, it might have. I'm not saying I wouldn't like it, but it might have found this band later on.
Fair.
Because of what I currently like pull from and what I currently am searching for musically. But I do love the moments when I hear like a metal or metal influenced band and be like, oh fuck, this is sick, because it's like for someone who listens to a lot of like more punk influenced or New York hardcore, this stuff like when it's good, it's really fucking good. So we're going to move on. The next song, Cloud Rat. This is a band I don't particularly have much of an opinion on. I like parts. Like, this is one of those bands where I haven't fully digested what's going on with the music. Like, I'll listen to it and be like, oh, that's a cool part. But I haven't, like, I don't know if I have just been unwilling to digest it, or I just haven't taken the time.
Well, this is the most recent like full-length record that Cloud Rat put out, but their discography is like, it's huge. They've been putting out music, I think, since, I don't know, like 2009. I don't know. I started listening to them a couple of years ago, actually, but
looks from what we're looking at, I know they've been doing it for a minute, but 2010, I'm counting up the releases. We're looking at like almost 9, so almost like almost a release a year.
Yeah, they have a huge amount of music. I just think they just really blend so much like influence that I love, like screamo, straight up just like grindcore, hardcore, and then a lot of like doomier post metal songs. One of their releases is a split, but they have just like a 20-minute long just like doom song that they did for that release only, and it's like they're a band that is continually just putting out like really interesting, awesome music, and this LP is wonderful.
Don't they have some like kind of melodic stuff too, with like some singing going on?
Yeah, they do a lot of singing. They have a lot of like, it's like a grind song that turns into like a really melodic like screamo song, and like, yeah, they do a lot of different stuff. And then there's a companion piece to this record that's like, I guess you would call it like dark wave, like synth pop stuff. That's totally like not. It sounds nothing like the record, but it fits with it,
I know this band is like popular with a lot of people, and I don't feel like from what I've seen, it doesn't land in a particular lane, and it doesn't land with a bunch of particular a sect of people. It just lands wherever it lands.
Yeah, I would say Cloud Rat definitely defies classification. I think that's why they're one of my favorite bands right now.
And I think like that's what I would say a regular, like somebody who's like there's always those people who say, "Oh, I like all music," but usually don't like shit, don't like anything. And then there's actually those people who do like are music fans that are looking. These are the bands that they're looking for. They're not technically hardcore metal fans. They just like bands that like push the envelope and are doing something different.
Right.
So what are we doing after this? Okay, we got this, and then we got some melodic hardcore, and I think I can say a lot on this next track. Not necessarily about the band itself, but just with where it's pulling from. We're gonna play Web Spinner from Cloud Rat, Off the Record Pollinator, and then Lasting Efforts, a self-titled track from Crafters, Lasting Efforts, I believe, LP. Yes, I'm getting the nod, yes. So we'll be right back. You're listening to Dead Air, 2 hours of hardcore radio, and we're going to start this song now. Is it going to work? Okay, cool.
Follow after the entrance.
All right. Just heard Lasting Efforts by Crafter from the record Lasting Efforts. I don't think we've never played this band on the show because they were supposed to come here last year. I believe at the end of, I think around November of last year, but they were doing a quote unquote last tour. And but how long were they even around as a band? Were they around a long time?
I have no idea. I just know that I heard that record. I thought it was good and was like, okay, I'm going to go see them play. You know, I don't know.
And yeah, they did a last tour. And even though like, it's always like, it's always weird when you're like, oh, they're going on the last tour. But like, I haven't heard this band prior to this last tour at all.
Yeah.
Like, I would have thought I've heard something from, okay, so from what I'm looking in the notes, 2014 is when they first emerged. So about 5 years. Just, it's kind of, I don't know. From my end, it's weird to do a last tour to a place that you've never been to. Like, in a way, like, I would just call it a tour and then just be like, and then just afterwards, like, be like, okay, well, that was our last tour, guys.
Well, I want to say, like, shortly before this tour, like, started, they were like, oh, this is actually going to be our last tour. I don't think they booked it as a last tour, you know, but I don't know. I just, like I said, heard the record, thought it was cool. That was that.
It's with a band like that, there's really no disputing where this band takes cues from.
Oh yeah.
Like it's clear cut. Like, I would say lots of bands like to say like, oh, we like, they pay tribute to like Verse and Modern Life is War with their in Killing the Dream with a lot, obviously in like their bio, and I can see where they definitely take influence, but like with that cleaned up sound, like I hear like Comeback Kid 100%, especially like with the delivery and like everything just like really, I don't know, a little bit more poppier and catchier than and not as rough around the edges as some of those other bands that they did note. Like, not as, like, Killing the Dream is definitely a little bit darker and moshier than what this is.
Yeah, I will say some of the other songs on that Crafter record are a little bit darker sounding, a little bit more moshy. Just like they're pulling from very obvious influences of bands that like I have loved throughout the years. But yeah, they did it well in that song. That song's cool.
And it's just like it just takes me back a lot because like if this was like 5 years prior, or like even like maybe even like came out 10 years ago, this band could have and would have been a launching point for some people, because like before there was like the like Knocked Looses and the Sanctions and stuff like that, if you're newer to listening to hardcore, I feel like bands like Crafter and melodic hardcore were like those memes, like where all the hands are in and it had different genres on the hands. And I would say this is like a band that hardcore kids liked, punk kids liked, pop punk kids liked, and they're on, so on and so forth. A lot of people from different genres, because it was presented in a way it's just like that was not only like very, very like catchy, but like a lot of it had like a positive message. And some people who were got out of hardcore for a little while were like, I don't need like a negative message. And it was like everything about melodic hardcore is more decipherable than other parts of hardcore, even though I would, even more decipherable than some Youth Crew as well.
Yeah, sure.
And with I guess like it's also like it can take all kinds of people can also play this easily, like, and pick it up even with not knowing the cues and the influences. Like I was in a melodic hardcore band. Most of them didn't really listen to that much melodic hardcore. They listened to a hodgepodge of lots of different things.
Yeah.
So hats off to Crafter. This is probably first and one of the only times play because you're playing you guys because you are therefore since like December you are no longer.
Yeah, now defunct.
So moving on, I actually really fucking love this band. I've never heard of this band before.
Oh, you've never heard of Envy?
No, I've heard the Japan Envy,
Yeah.
but not this one. This is a different band, right?
No, this is the Envy from Japan.
Is there no way? Are you sure?
Yeah, the track that I sent you, Fingerprint Mark.
Yeah, this is because they're like, they don't. Do they normally sound like this?
No, and that's kind of why I chose this song.
Okay.
So this,
I thought this was a completely, because this is not what, like, for someone who if you listen to Envy, this isn't the norm at all.
yeah. So this record like just came out like a couple weeks ago, and
I thought it was a completely different band.
no, same band, and like once again, like Envy, like Japanese, like hardcore screamo, like legends, right? Like
Yeah.
they've been a band since like the early '90s.
Yeah.
And also a discography that's like huge and like prolific, and they do so many different styles like screamo, post rock, post metal. But then this song is straight up like a hardcore song.
Yeah,
like a
no, it
melodic
wasn't.
hardcore song.
I thought it was something different because I was like, there's parts in here that do sound like Envy. Like I was like, the leads, like I can see where Envy, but I just like when I heard like the overall structure of the song, I was like, this is not.
Yeah, that's why I chose this song, because I was listening to this record and then this song came on. I was like, whoa.
Because I thought they trademarked themselves as Envy Japan.
I have no idea about that.
I thought they did because, well, like I said, I haven't listened to Envy in a while, so I thought like they've been since defunct for a minute, so they're officially back with something totally different. That this is really cool. I really like you said, they're not traditionally a hardcore band, so
No.
it's cool to see their take on hardcore music being very proficient musicians doing like very interesting like post rock screamo. Like it's interesting to hear the structure in this stuff, and I really like the vocals too. It's really cool.
Yeah, and this song rips.
So we're gonna play this song. If you haven't heard it, check it out. If you haven't listened to any of Envy's discography, I would definitely check it out. And then you will understand why I didn't think it was the same band from this song. So it's off. So the record is called Fallen Crimson. Is that a full length?
Yeah, full length. I think it's a double LP actually.
Okay.
So it's a pretty long record, but yeah, new full length from Envy. It's awesome.
I'm going to have to check out more of this. This is called Fingerprint Mark. It's really fucking dope.
Yes! 慈しむのか最後に裏切るのか自我の提案うなる噂別の信念栄冠は想像の上にあり指跡の充実壊死した心は少数の成り立ち叱責の裏返し過重に頼らず沈む基礎僕らの想い敵討ちはなし加味して潰れて狭くかわす小笠自分の知識理解を貫徹気への無力言葉の力言葉が優位な時瞬時の作る笑顔僕らは知った声が潰したもの失ったもの全て他者の失態責任はなかった心を丸めて捨てる響かない発声は意志を持たない想像で語るな全てを決めるな想像で語るな全てを決めるな今はない過去はない夢はない過去はない
All right. So we played Envy, Fingerprint Mark. That was, I fucking even re-listened to that song knowing like that it's the same band. It's so good. Mm-hmm. Like I can't wait to check out the rest of the record. It's like that's the different that I'm always looking for. After that we played a 1,000 Cuts by the band Extricate off their record Unforgiving Years. basically you said members or member of Seven Generations. You said
Member of, I don't know.
something like that. There's if you listen to it, the song, it leaves not too much for commentary. It's just really good. Late 90s vegan straight edge sounding music. Like it follows the blueprint to the T from the song structure to the vocals to the style of recording. It's
super raw sounding. That record's great. Label Mates, that record came out on Bitter Melody.
dope.
Shout out to Grant. Awesome 7-inch. Really don't have a whole lot to say about it.
That's what I said. Like I listened to it, I was like, this is pretty clear cut. This is pretty obvious, you know?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like once you like think of like, oh, this is with that kind of precursor, vegan straight edge music, be like, hey, this is going to be a vegan, you know exactly what you're going to listen to. So once you go in knowing that, it's like, what's not to like?
Yeah.
So moving on, we'll talk briefly about this band because I'm gonna have a member of this band up on the show pretty soon. I think in the next week or two. We're gonna play All Talk from FOM.
Okay. I won't say too much then.
You can say what you want to say because we'll go kind of deep. We're gonna talk about hardcore and talk about. We'll do a deep dive because like I only know Catherine from the internet. That's it. We haven't talked about like the band hardcore. I know they've like this band's based out of Denver, correct?
Yeah, Denver by way of
But Catherine lives in Seattle.
yeah.
I mean Tacoma.
Denver by way of other places.
Yeah.
I actually just picked Kat and Joey up from the airport last night after FOM recorded their LP in Oakland with Jack Shirley. So I'm super excited to hear that. This song, All Talk, from their 7-inch is just, it checks all the boxes. Another one of those songs that checks all the boxes as far as hardcore goes.
Absolutely. Sorry, I got a text from my work. Trying to see when I'm gonna work.
Fuck work.
I know. I hate it. I'm a slave. And I'm getting asked when I want to work. So what we're talking about FOM. I like this song. I know they just recorded some stuff, and it's gonna be. Have you heard any of what they've put together yet? Have you heard bits and pieces
Of the new record?
Yeah.
I heard one song.
Is it dope?
It's amazing. It's great. Kat is one of my really good friends. That's quickly become one of my really good friends. And even if, like, she showed me one of the songs off the new LP and was like, "Oh, you're just saying that to be nice. That's good." I'm like, "No, I liked your band before I met you. Like, it's awesome." And it's anything Jack Shirley touches, like, I'm typically a fan of, just because of his style and his approach to recording. And FOM.
Yeah.
All Talk.
Hell yeah. And from the 7-inch, I've seen FOM once. I think it was with War earlier this year. They played. Oh no! They played with Modern Life is War, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in December.
Back in December. That was a cool show. I was like, overall, I think we'll have time to get to the Modern Life is War track too. So we'll talk about that when we get to it. Another band I have things to say about will be Fiddlehead, and because I fucking love that band. But we'll get to that when we get to the track. Mm-hmm. But we're gonna play All Talk. If you haven't checked out FOM, check it out. They recently just got signed to Safe Inside Records. That will be putting out their new stuff. What would you say is the specific FFO for this band?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm so bad with those. I mean, when I first heard it, it was just like fast, like kind of like East Coast, like Boston hardcore, but it's not really that. I mean, it's a little bit of melody at times. I mean, it's just angry.
There's a lot of like mid 2000s pull from it. There's parts like that. Are a few parts. It's not melodic, but there's parts that I can hear from like guitar wise from HopeCon a little bit. Like it's so easy to use any like 2000s style band like this in say AN.
Yeah.
But that really did like kind of conjure up some of this style of not like necessarily like positive or dark hardcore, but it's not necessarily like emotional, but like the faster AN songs definitely brought a certain style to early to mid 2000s hardcore.
Yeah. And there's a part in this song, a little kind of breakdown part near the end that's just so like AN, like it just sounds like an AN song.
Like that's
in the best way.
Yeah, like I'm about it. Like I know because I know some people will hear that and be like turned off by that, but like I'm sorry, but a lot of fucking bands came from just that influence alone.
Oh yeah.
So we'll do that. Play some Fiddlehead, and we'll talk about it, and we'll play some songs and do the damn thing.
What
All right, USMA, Fiddlehead off of their full length Springtime and Blind. Came out 2018 on Run for Cover. Yeah, Run for Cover. This is probably one of the best. It's undisputedly the best Pat Flynn project, and probably one of the best Run for Cover records in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I'm with both of those statements, which are bold statements, but I'm with it. I checked this record out like not even that long ago. I was kind of late to checking out Fiddlehead, but I've pretty much had it on repeat, like regular rotation. Yeah, and yeah, he's got a great voice. The songs are like awesome. I think it's members of Basement filling out the band, maybe. Yeah.
That tracks. It's not fact, but it tracks.
Yeah.
It's not I can't confirm or deny any of that. But yeah, Fiddlehead's just like out of the bands that have come out like within this style, it kind of rejuvenated me listening to like hardcore adjacent music of this style, because like for a few years, like a lot of the bands either were disbanding or going into a totally different lane.
Yeah.
Like I talked about a little bit, like Basement did like a record 2015 that I could honestly care less about, and then I don't, because it might be just because I like Jimmy Eat World so much. I love their latest record that sounds like an early like Jimmy Eat World ripoff. But like Run for Cover bands lately have not really been my big, like have been my go-to. So Fiddlehead's doing something that I think is bringing more like people who are actual real fans of hardcore adjacent music back to the label. Mm-hmm. So, and just like, and I'm by no means a Have Heart hater. Actually, I actually do like. I'm not the biggest Have Heart fan, but when they have a track, they have a track. I like. I know people don't. There's people who don't like it, but I like. I always liked melodic hardcore, and I'm not like, oh man, this is the best band to ever exist. But I do like Have Heart songs.
Yeah, I like Have Heart's records. I like Have Heart. I'm not like, I love Have Heart, best hardcore band ever, like you said. But I like Have Heart.
And it was nothing for me to go be like, I want to travel to go see those shows, even though those shows are like, I'm still like, even like, I think it's really cool what the Have Heart shows did, like for last year, like, and people going nuts, but I'm still like, nah, I'm still Team Fiddlehead. Like
Team Fiddlehead.
I'm Team Fiddlehead all the way. Like if you were to give me a choice to see Have Heart in a parking lot with, what was it? How many thousand people? A few thousand people.
More than a few thousand. I want to say they were pushing
10,000.
Like
it was 10. It was 10,000 people for that moment, or a dope ass Fiddlehead show in a basement. I go Fiddlehead.
Yeah, I'm with that at this point. I want to see Fiddlehead.
I wouldn't mind if there's a chance to see Have Heart. Like, and I just like, my thing was, I was bummed out because with Sound and Fury, like, my whole thing is I want to see the new bands, all the bands on Triple B and all the bands that are putting out cool new records at those festivals. And the fact that Have Heart was put on it to sell it out, so I could, like, it was kind of a bummer when it should have been just its own separate show and not on the fest, because I'm going to that fest to see all the new fucking hardcore bands,
right, and
get hyped on bands with people younger than me playing sick ass fast mosh music.
Yeah, we got a sick Triple B band coming up in a couple tracks, but
oh yeah, no,
yeah.
Oh for sure. I see it on here, and like that's what I'm looking for. That's like the fun I'm looking for the weekend. There's a difference between, like, I've talked about it. I don't know if I've even said it on the show. Like, if I'm gonna go to something like that, I'm gonna go to fucking like Furnace Fest and see and like because that's literally a weekend to go down memory lane
Yeah.
to see bands that I grew up listening to in high school. So that's where that is. Like Sound and Fury, FYA, that is to see all the new bands that I've been listening to all year. That's the point. So that in that way, that kind of bummed me out. But I like Have Heart, love Fiddlehead more. Actually, I would have loved to see, because Fiddlehead has been actually playing the last couple Sound and Furies. Like, they played 2019 and 2018, and I'm like, I would have like 100% gone to see, like, just to see Fiddlehead.
Yeah, I can never afford to travel for fests and stuff, so I'm just holding out that they'll do like a Pacific Northwest show or weekend or something.
And that's why I'm taking those business calls, man.
Yeah.
During the show, so I could try to save enough money to travel.
Yep.
So, up next, we got Infernal Coil, Boise, Idaho, On Top. We talk about Boise On Top, and it's not a fucking joke, man. There's some sick ass bands from Boise, and it's like definitely right now, I think, as far as bands that are breaking out of Boise, is it like a split between metal and hardcore that they're both kind of at the same time breaking out? Because we got Rejects Impact, we got Inground coming out of Boise, then we got,
I don't know if Sentient Divide is like, they were from somewhere in Idaho. No, they're like Spokane by way of like Olympia, but Sentient Divide, I kind of lump them in with Idaho. I don't know.
I do too, because they kind of share a scene, because like Spokane, they're probably going to go to Boise before they go out to Seattle, specifically just because, like, I would say just because it's easier to get to from there. There's not a mountain pass.
Yeah.
So that's just like sometimes of the choice, like if you want to travel to Portland for a show or go to Spokane. If you live in Tacoma, you're gonna pick Portland every time. Like that's it's easy, especially during the winter. Like it's nothing against Spokane. I can't say
Mountain Pass.
I can't say there has been super memorable Eastern Washington hardcore shows for me. Like, I've traveled out to see bands because they're friends and they're tour, and they're like, sometimes like bands traveling from the East Coast would go to Eastern Washington, stop, and then go somewhere else. And that's why I would go out there. I think I played a show in Walla Walla one time, and that was pretty cool. But with an exception of that, no. But all my friends in Boise are doing cool bands, and Infernal Coil is one of them. What's another one? Oh, Grave Titan. Have you listened to Grave Titan?
No, I've not heard.
That's Alex that was in Inground. Also played in Inground.
Okay.
And it's like kind of in this style. So I would definitely check it out. What do you got to say about Inground? I mean, not Inground. Infernal Coil. Inground's the best.
Ingrown Sick.
Infernal Coil. Ingrown Coil.
Wild stuff when they played that Fast in Tacoma. No. Ingrown's tight. We're not talking about them. Infernal Coil, this record is just absolutely punishing, like, just grinding, like, it's not even death metal, it's just like, I don't know.
Do hardcore
punishing.
Kids like this?
I'm gonna go with a resounding no. I don't think so. Which
I think a hardcore person can like this.
But this
does it break through to them? I would say when I heard it, I was like, this is dope. But like, because it was sent to me when in the first incarnation of the band about like 4 years ago, and it was sent to me, and I was like, this is cool, and I'm gonna play it. But does this go with some of my audience? Maybe not.
I file this under vegan straight edge though.
Are they vegan straight edge?
Well, it's Blake who played in Dead in the Dirt,
Okay.
who plays guitar and does vocals. So I file this very much under vegan straight edge or like environmentally focused music because the lyrics are very like dark and the lyrics are great. And then we played with this band a couple years ago at Black Lodge and it was like 20 degrees inside that venue, and that was like my introduction to them, and it just fit perfectly.
Well, and this band has gained a pretty decent sized audience now. Like I think they've, from the first time I played them in like I think 2016 or so, they've definitely, like, I hear more talk about this band. So
Yeah, the label that put this out, Profound Lore, is pretty prominent like metal label. They put out like countless like awesome records, and then they did a tour with Sumac and Dalek a couple years ago, and like I would have loved to see that tour because that's like such an eclectic mix of three like artists that are doing totally different sounds. I don't know if Infernal Coil is even still a band. Like I think they are.
I think Charlie was playing in them for a little bit.
Yeah, when I saw them, he was playing in the band. I don't know.
Because I remember for specifically, so we talked. It's so hard for me to remember what I heard in a podcast or what I heard in actual conversation anymore because I do this so often, and then I listen to podcasts where they have real conversations. So I'm like, am I sure? Did I hear this story in a podcast or did I hear? So when Ingrown came, we were talking. I was talking to Charlie about that in work, and literally because Sumac has toured with bigger bands, they name dropped the way that Charlie got the time off for a bigger Infernal Coil tour was the fact that Sumac was, I forget, it was a big band too. Sumac's played with some big bands.
Yeah, and it's Aaron Turner who played in ISIS.
So
yeah,
no. So he name dropped Sumac and name dropped the tour that Sumac was currently on, and they gave Charlie time off and PTO because of they said they were like, you touring with bands like this, you can take off as much time as you want.
Really funny. I'm gonna ask him about that next.
Ask him about that. He told me ask him the details on that. It was really funny. I forget the name of the band, but whatever it was it was a notable band too. So I was like, whatever.
It's probably like Neurosis or something.
Yeah.
Or I think Sumac toured with Boris.
I think also,
as well.
I think maybe Mastodon.
I have no idea.
It's possible.
Yeah.
It was something Mastodon tier.
Okay. Mastodon tier.
The band of what I don't quote me on it because I'm, like I said, I had a hard time remembering if I heard it in a podcast in real life, but it was when me and Charlie went and got food at the Just Another Gig. Also, Church Cantina, if you haven't, have you been there?
Yep, Church Cantina in South Tacoma.
Good shit.
Vegan food. Go check it out.
Yeah, I like the grilled cheese.
I hate bars unless they have vegan food, but Church is pretty chill.
But here's the thing: if you're going, beggars can't be choosers. If you live in Tacoma, that's where a lot of the vegan food is.
Yep.
So I'm cool. I'm cool with it. So we're gonna play Continuum. I can't say this word. What is?
Oh, I just realized the next two tracks have the word continuum in them.
Yeah. So we're gonna play a track from Infernal Coil, from Within a World Forgotten. Yeah, they both tracks have continuum, and the next one is just continuum. And then we'll talk about that in just a minute. I guess we'll have to warm up like every 10 minutes.
Sure.
So I fucking love that. Talking a little bit about Loma, Continuum from, am I saying this right? Loma Prieta?
Yeah, Loma Prieta.
I think this is what is this? Is this a LP or
It's a 2-song single they just put out like within the past month or so, I think.
okay? So this is
brand new.
Brand new. Yeah, I didn't even put up the info for this. I love when bands do stuff like this. It's catchy. I love the fuzzed out vocals. I love how the intentional like lowering of the vocals, of how like the levels between like you can hear some like screamo style vocals too, but it's faded so far back in the mix. Like,
Yeah,
it feels like someone's far away.
I want to say this is another Jack Shirley recording. I'm pretty sure Loma Prieta does like most of their, if not all of their records with him now. Yeah, just a band that also I've loved for a long time. Like this record, these 2 songs on this single they put out, definitely not what you would expect from Loma Prieta, but that's always for me a good thing when you're kind of caught off guard by, you know, what a band's doing. I think this song is awesome. The lyrics are great. Like you were saying about the vocals, that's what really like kind of drew me into this song, is how the vocals sit in the mix and it just so like contributes to the feel of the song.
And like, would you consider this a technically a hardcore band, or like, because they do have like kind of a post-hardcore feel with like some like a little bit of like screamo style stuff going on as well.
Yeah, I mean Loma's like early stuff, like the records that I really like by them are definitely like post-hardcore, like hardcore influence, like a lot louder, like noisier type stuff. Like Trevor, you saw my old band No Future, like we all were definitely listening to like lots of Loma Prieta when we were like in that band and writing for that band. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily file them as a hardcore band, but
and I feel like that style really facilitates like change. Like it gives a lot of like this particular lane gives a lot of room to go in a certain direction.
Yeah,
where other hardcore does not. Like, so where like you can I guess you can mesh this with the rest of their discography and be perfectly cool with it. Like there's some bands when they take a left turn, it's a real hard left turn, and it's just like either the record that like change like is just like the record nobody wants to listen to, or divides fans. But I feel like this is not a fan dividing type turn.
No, I don't think so.
At
I
all.
agree with that.
So moving on is one I can talk forever about. We talked about a Triple B band that basically was obviously like I talked about it so much in 2019. It was my number 1 record of the year. To Whatever Fateful End, Magnitude. If you listen to the show enough, you literally, before I even said words, you knew what I was going to talk about. The funny thing about this song, Counterattack, was like when I first heard this record, like me and Chris were like Chris X, the former host of the show, sometimes guest, talked about how like good this was, but this was the song that he like tried to stray away from, because when he heard the word counterattack, he kept on thinking of Pokemon. So he was like
Pokemon Straight Edge.
Yeah, so he was like every time I think of this song, I think of Pikachu doing a counterattack.
That's
and
funny.
It just seems corny to me. And then later on he got over it, and like, because he was straight up singing and marching along to that set when they came through Seattle, which was just easily one of the best Seattle shows in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Oh wait, yeah, I played that show.
Yeah.
I just forgot I played that show. Yeah. So the new band I'm in, Real, that was our first show, and that was a
You guys
sick first.
You
show.
had a decent, reaction to your first set. I think because you guys after the first show, you guys played another show and then kind of just chilled for a while.
we played 2 shows and then things slowed down because I'm in school full time and working full time, and we're picking, not to talk about Real too much right now, but we're picking it back up. We're writing some new songs and we got a couple shows in the works. But yeah, this song is awesome. I honestly was not really familiar with this band until I saw them play. That usually happens for me. I just like a band, I go see them, they win me over, and then I listen to their record. The fucking double pedal part in this song, yeah, it's good. I hear lots of Trial influence on this record.
That I think that's why.
Yeah.
Also, anyone knows Trial is literally my favorite fucking band in the world.
I think that's why I feel like that's why I'm seeing a lot of Northwest hardcore kids talk about this record, because it sounds like Trial. To me, it sounds like Trial. That's the main thing that I'm picking up on. But maybe that's intentional. Maybe I just want it to sound like Trial.
No, I hear it. No, you literally hear this record. It's the two main Trial records mixed into one.
Yeah.
You have the mosh parts of Are These Our Lives, and as well as the fastness of the other record from Trial.
Yeah, my twin sister Jade, she even is raving about this record, and she hasn't been into straight edge hardcore for years now, But yeah, we'll hang out and put this record on and just kind of reminisce about the bands we listened to growing up. So yeah, this song is
well,
good
and
stuff.
I think the intentional pull to hardcore fans and hardcore lifers were are people that had an initial emotion pulled out of them at a live set, that it's of something that hardcore is supposed to bring something out of you, as in a live environment. And that was the first time I've seen that in a long time. I've saw it started off with a bunch of 30-year-olds moshing, me and Dev and and people who don't always mosh.
Yeah, this is gonna sound weird, but I feel like watching Magnitude play was kind of the first time I saw Trial play. Just not really familiar with it, but knowing that something really huge was about to happen, or something that people were gonna have an emotional connection with. It was kind of the exact same type of energy.
I don't go and pile up and sing along for just any fucking band.
Yeah.
Not that any of your other bands or any of these bands that I'm playing on the show don't get upset. Not that y'all bands aren't tight. It's just it takes a certain kind, and I 100% Magnitude is a bucket list band right now to be on the show.
Yeah.
So they're definitely on the must have for Dead Air, because that I could talk for hours about this music. So yeah, To Whatever Faithful End is a classic, and I almost it's almost already a classic record for that for this last decade.
Yeah, instant classic with that one, I would say.
It's literally up there with When the Smoke Clears for me.
Sure.
So 100%. This is going to be, that's up there with in a top 10. Foundation and Magnitude will be in the same vicinity. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to play a track. I think we'll talk more about it, of course. Another track from Modern Life is War, and then we're nearing the last little bit of the show. So we'll be back. We'll see. I don't think we're going to finish this whole list, but we'll get to as much as we possibly can. Listen to Dead Air, 2 hours of hardcore radio. Play that track.
Fragments rolling away by the cuts of an organized storm.
Feels Like in Times, Modern Life is War, Tribulation Work Songs, Volume 1. Very rarely is there a song with a slow, dry, like repetitive riff like that would be like, okay, this is fucking cool.
Yeah, I feel the same way about that song. It's like the same.
Them and
tempo.
HopeCon are the only two bands that like have songs like that where I'm like, I can be okay, like because there's something about the riff itself and about like because I don't like bands that have buildups to nothing.
Yeah, if we're strictly talking about like hardcore, I'm like, if you're gonna do a single tempo or like the same riff, it better be like a well crafted song. And that song's really fun. Like when they played it live back in December when I saw them, like that's a fun song and the lyrics are cool. And like I didn't feel like I needed more music from Modern Life is War. But when that got announced, I was super excited just to have, new songs from them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's a dude. That show though too was you went to that show.
Yeah, I saw them in Seattle and Portland. When they came through, like that show was awesome. Yeah, Super Crush played, FOM played, and Defeater too.
Yeah. Like I was, because I remember I showed up, you were standing there, we were saying like, I was like, oh, people still care about like melodic hardcore.
Yeah, people still really care about Defeater. I hadn't listened to them in a long time. I was really into Defeater, like the first couple records they did, like the first LP they did, and some stuff that came out on Bridge 9. But then like, I think after that, I just kind of like was like, about them. Good band, great band to see live. I mean, they're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Modern Life is War, one of my all-time favorite bands. Like a band that has like so much impact, and like I lost my shit when I see them and always will. Like
I knew it was gonna be good. I didn't expect it to be that good. That was one of those bands. So I saw them back in high school, like on one of their last tours, unintentionally, because they were on a tour with when I was into weirdo Christian stuff, and they went on tour with He Is Legend.
Oh,
and so I had no idea that this band was like this. This is weird. There's people like singing along. And there's like in a way I haven't seen before. It was like I knew like a lot of bands that at that point that took cues from hardcore, but not ones that were like fully emerged into like actual hardcore like this band.
yeah. The first time I saw them was Rainfest. So Rainfest 2014, they announced their reunion, and yeah, I never thought I would get a chance to see them play. So that was, for me.
And then
that was
have
really
them
awesome.
come again in 5 years later and then still be doing stuff.
Yeah, and still get like a absolutely insane reaction,
A lot of people I haven't seen in a very long time at that show just like haven't like in general. Like it's been lately, there's been like the shows of people that have, just like, where have you been for years?
Yeah.
And I mean, and I think for some of that's cool, because there's some people who are like a decade older than me that have like, it's obvious what they've been doing for the last couple of years. They've been fucking working and supporting their families or
Right.
getting their business on.
And I always feel like bands like Modern Life is a War just like have this like enduring sound that, you know, is important to people, and, you know, people always will come back to those records and they'll still have the same impact, you know, like years later. For me, like Witness is probably in my top 3 hardcore records ever, just musically and with the impact it had. Like when I first heard it, when I was like, I was like probably 16. I remember like the first time I heard that record and I just had it on repeat for days.
Yeah.
So
up next, we got Sect with Terminus off of Blood of the Beasts, their latest record. I think their 3rd release, or is this their 4th release?
this is their 3rd full length. So it's the best Sect record and the 4th best Cursed LP.
You can hear the Cursed. It's not as, I'd say this song isn't like as fast paced as a Cursed song.
No.
In any way. It doesn't have like any like crusty fast metal parts that for Circle Pit.
Yeah, I just think this record, like, the music sounds like more like Cursed than anything else they put out. And I don't like want to like stick that comparison, but like, yeah, this record is my favorite thing that they've put out. And I've been like, we've played, I think,
you played almost every show in the Northwest with them, right?
I think actually, yeah, at this point, every show that they've done in the Northwest, Seattle or Portland, I think we've played. Because we played the first show they played was at Black Lodge in Seattle, and that was for their first LP, like a record release thing. It was a record release weekend. A couple years later, we did the same thing for their 2nd LP, and then they played up here back in November.
Yeah,
for for this record, and I think they had to have played Portland too. I don't think we didn't play the Portland show this time around, but we played Seattle with them again. Yeah, great band, kind of a super group. I hate that term, but you know, it really is.
Yeah, no, I completely understand too.
It's all people who have put out some of my favorite music ever. Yeah, and then lyrically, like, this record is just like, it cuts deep, it hits close to home. It's like emotional and like cathartic to just like listen to. I don't know. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think we're gonna have time for literally we'll do these 2 songs, and I think I'll let you pick the last song when we get to it.
Sweet.
So we'll do 2 songs, and then we have like time to have one to play us out, and you can pick literally whatever one. So we're gonna do that, the song from Seizures, and then we'll be back to end episode 82 of Dead Air, 2 hours of hardcore radio and stuff like that.
Didn't know the last time would be the last. Was it your train to catch? On the underside like that, staying for a time. I'm worried
Okay, almost over. We got names. Toxophila?
Toxifola?
Toxophila or Toxophila?
Toxifola.
Toxophila.
Something like that.
Caesars off the latest record. Came out in October of 2019. When was the last? The last one was a while before. The last one, they had a split in 2018. Before that, their last release was 2013.
Yeah, the first LP.
So 6 years.
Yeah. I've been listening to them for a long time. That first LP is great, but this one, this is a really inspiring record to listen to because there's nothing, you can't really classify this. It's heavy music, but it's
when there is chaotic parts in this, it's actually chaotic. So I hear a lot of bands who will take cues from bands Every Time I Die and say that that's chaotic hardcore. When I'm chaotic part, the chaotic parts are actually I would classify as chaotic because I had a band that was good that was labeled chaotic hardcore, and I'm just because you have some parts that follow the same kind of genre lines doesn't make you really chaotic.
yeah.
Distinguishable. I'm a big fan. It takes a lot for me to want to pay attention to a song that clocks over 4 minutes like this, but it definitely has parts that grab me because I'm a big fan of pretty and melodic sounding stuff. So when you go from something that's just all over the fucking place, and then you are successfully able to just reel it in to something that's just that's really nice. It takes a certain type of band.
I really want to see this band again. I don't know. I saw them with Axis and Gouge Away.
That sounds like a show
at a skate park in Seattle.
Ooh, that sounds like a good show.
This was a few years ago now. But I don't know how much material off this record they were playing, but I really want to see them again. Hopefully they get up here with this record. Awesome.
So that's almost it for the show. So we have one more song. This band has never played Seattle, correct? Or am I wrong?
What are we talking? What band are we talking about?
Torso.
They have played Seattle.
Okay, they have played Seattle.
The first time I heard them was playing with them in Seattle at Black Lodge. It was Anti-Self, the band I played guitar in, the old power violence band.
Okay.
It was us, Mysterious Skin, Sidetracked, Torso. I think there was 2 other bands. There was 6 or 7 bands on that show. But yeah, they played Seattle that time, and I got super into them. I think they had an LP out shortly after that. And then the band I'm in now, actually, Wake of Humanity, got to play in Berlin with them over the summer.
They play Fluff? Or?
Yeah, so Torso played Fluff, and we also were on Fluff, and we played a show a couple days before in Berlin, and it was awesome. I love this band, probably one of my favorite hardcore bands going right now. But their set, we should talk about their set at Fluff Fest. So Fluff Fest was pretty close to getting rained out that day. And so they were Torso was supposed to play, and they were waiting for the rain to clear so they could clean up some stuff and get bands back on stage. So by the time Torso had started playing, the whole front of the stage was just literally a mud hole. And so I've got a couple of videos of it, people just losing their minds, running across the stage and sliding in the water and stage diving. Just what once in a lifetime shit. I'm never going to see another fest set that's that much fun.
So, because at Fluff, it's done that a couple times, right? Where it's rain, it did it the first year y'all came out, right?
I think so. Not during our set, but it was the rain kind of comes and goes throughout the weekend usually.
Yeah, so it's a weird time for weather for that time of year around there.
Yeah, And then you also like you don't have vegan straight edge bands that are not playing breakdowns, you know, like they're straight up like D beat hardcore, like no.
They check all the
bullshit.
boxes. I talked a little bit about like what I like currently like to listen to, because I've like had my fill of mosh bands like these days. So like this checks all the boxes of what if you want to know of what I like currently am jamming, this is it.
Yeah, and I think lyrically too, Torso's not writing like some fake posy like straight edge lyrics. It's like really introspective and like just the I hate to say perfect band, but kind of perfect band.
It, like I said, checks all the boxes of
Yeah.
of get in, get out hardcore, of like they start the song, they end it at the perfect moment and have all the best parts, and it's just fucking fast, aggressive from beginning to end. I can't see if you're not a fan of Torso, then you're not a fan of hardcore.
Word.
Word. I'm just gonna say, if you don't like this band, you need to go ask yourself, do I like hardcore?
Do some homework.
Do I actually like hardcore? And if the answer is no, it's fine. But don't say you don't like hardcore if you don't like stuff that's in this lane. There you go. That's that. Any last words, MJ, before we hit this last track? Because we done.
I got nothing. Thanks for having me back.
Dude, we'll have you back again soon and talk about your bands, and we'll talk about we'll get you and your bands back up here soon.
We'll do it.
Hell yeah. So we're gonna what were we gonna play? We're gonna play Grab a Fucking Shovel. Grab a Shovel by Torso off their record Build and Break. This has been episode 82 of Dead Air 2 Hours of Hardcore Radio.